In everyday life, with a disciplined eye, we can observe many correlations and similarities. Sometimes these relationships can be found in unexpected places. How a drive to school or work makes you think of that movie you watched when you were 8 years old, or how the design in your local mall reminds you of your favorite book's castle. All of the randomness in life is meant to be. Instead of seeing your way, see always. See as it is, not how you want. As you can tell, I've been reading the Book of Five Rings. Vagabond videos coming soon. A traumatized orphan in Gotham City turning into a masked vigilante to help his corrupted and violent city can relate to a man ostracized by a superhuman society shows the same random correlations in the universe that I was just talking about. How Jinbu Baigawara, aka Twice, his loneliness is the direct complement for finding his quirk of clones. This is the beauty of finding the commonalities in life, and how life has an abundance of them if you are willing to look. The openness to find similarities and connections in the universe is a skill, but requires the willingness. People respond to traumatic events differently. There is no correct or incorrect way of responding to such shocking events. Losing family in front of your eyes is a traumatic event that each of us would process differently. We would question ourselves, our higher powers, those around us, etc. For Batman, he took it upon himself to never allow anyone else to feel the same way that he did. He vowed to turn evildoers in, while being above them in their murderous intent. For Twice, depression filled the void that was once filled by his parents, and he lived aimlessly. In the context of My Hero Academia, the average person's reaction is amplified due to the normality of quirks. A common response to trauma is dissociation. Dissociation is the process of disconnecting one's thoughts, feelings, memories, or sense of self. These disconnects can vary. Identity alteration and identity confusion are common in dissociation. The brain reacts this way to relieve stress and detach the heavy burden and emotion connected to the event. Think of our brain being a pharmacist delivering us our prescription meds. Dissociation is often termed as disorders like other specified dissociative disorder and dissociative identity disorder. With DID, the more commonly referred to disorder, OSDD is the more commonly diagnosed disorder, for it categorizes the symptoms, effects. Unlike specified DID symptoms, OSDD is typically given to those that have dissociative disorders but simply do not meet all of the criteria to be officially diagnosed with DID. Mental disorders and illnesses are commonly looked at on a spectrum. For diagnoses, symptoms are added up, and if they surpass the threshold, then you are officially diagnosed with said disorder. For example, if you have 2 of the 8 symptoms per DSM-5 for generalized anxiety disorder, you wouldn't be diagnosed with GAD. However, if you have 3 out of the 8, then you would be diagnosed with GAD for surpassing the threshold of having 3 or more symptoms for an extended period of time. Classifications like this are common in the field of psychology. For OSDD, it is the categorizations of those with dissociative tendencies, such as identity alteration, but does not contain dissociative amnesia. Then you would have OSDD and not DID. For Twice, the trauma he received from losing his parents at an early age carried a heavy toll, not forgetting but dwelling and never moving on. We would see him lonely and living life aimlessly. His mind went to work to be financially stable, but he is still haunted by his trauma. After a motorcycle accident got him in trouble with his coworkers as well as the law, due to the person that he hit being an important clientele, Twice was ostracized and let go by his workplace, resulting in him becoming homeless and depressed. This was the final trigger for him to begin his dissociations. Transferring from depression to dissociation can blend more symptoms than eliminate. Twice began creating duplicates of himself to have someone to talk to help alleviate his loneliness. These manifestations of what Twice wanted were the voices that justify the thoughts in our head. But for Twice, he had the actual ability to create them. Comparing Twice and Batman, we see Twice wanting to use his powers for his own gain, not saving others. The trauma that haunted Batman excelled him into the man that we all love. For Twice, the combination of neglect and trauma made him feel both lonely physically and emotionally. With his clone family, Twice began to lose control of them. He then lost trust in them and delved deeper into the villain world. Once Twice meets the League of Villains, they become his family. Similar to Kazutora and Tomon, the League fulfills what Twice has been wanting. The trust and companionship he requires as a broken person left out by society was shared by all of the League's members. He found a place to utilize his skill set and powers, along with those who are similar to him. He found his purpose that he longed for. Continuing with the analogy of Batman, imagine a Gotham that didn't serve as the antagonizing force against him. Imagine if Batman had no Joker or Iceman. How would Batman function? What if Batman found the Justice League and aided his comrades in battle, but Gotham was safe? For Twice, he found counsel in a band of criminals that appreciated him, especially Toga. With most members of the League being reserved and blunt, Twice grows closer to Toga. The two share a closer bond compared to the rest of the group. With a family, a best friend, and a purpose, Twice would do anything to defend all that he's found. Twice, from an outside perspective, is a simple man. He found his family and would do anything to protect them. Unlike the rest of the team, he has no ulterior motive, nor is he innately evil with plans of vengeance or world domination. He is a simple and likable man because the only reason he is a villain is because that's what his family aligns with. If he had been found by heroes first, he could very well have turned out to be a hero. When looking at the qualities of Twice, he is passionate, loyal, and trustworthy, traits that typically correlate with heroes. We see in Season 5 and 6 that when his family is threatened, he would do anything to protect them. After finding his why, Twice overcame his trauma in Season 5 when he sees Toga nearly killed. He overcomes his trauma of loss, loneliness, and depression. He has grown so much that he's comfortable welcoming Hawks in Season 6, a suspicious enemy of the League. Gullible or trustworthy, he lends a hand to befriend and welcome Hawks, a creative decision that we'll refer back to soon. Twice's story is one that brings unlikely events together, how we can overcome our traumas and protect those that we love. This justification was easy to do because I do believe that Twice was innately good. He made bad choices as we all have, and his backstory explains how he turned out the way he did. He was willing to befriend the enemy not due to ignorance, but the hope that two warring sides can one day be good to one another. When we see people suffering, all we need to do is lend a hand. The fateful relationship between Twice and Hawks represents the willingness to put out our hand to the next person, regardless of what they look like and what side they choose. The same willingness needed to see the world in a way where there are more similarities than differences. Albeit the relationship being a facade, it showed Twice in his willing glory, how one overcomes their past and trauma to help the next person, to gain the confidence to be willing. When Twice dies, he represents the growth needed not only by the League or the Heroes Association, but everyone. With Twice gone, he is remembered by the League as well as Hawks. His loss could have been prevented if more hands were willing to help. His death serves as a warning. After watching Guardians of the Galaxy 3, no spoilers, but the film quotes, "There are the hands that made us, and then there are the hands that guide their hands," showing that we are all byproducts of our own past, but it's up to us to decide how we let it affect us. As I've stated before, the quirks in My Hero Academia drive the symbolism of the storytelling forward, and Twice is no different. He is a man that can clone himself while he shows us the commonalities amongst us all. He fought for his loved ones as a hero would. His clones had minds of their own, yes, but represented feelings of insecurity that we all have, not wanting to trust the person next to us. Why should we? We all have different defense mechanisms and coping strategies which our mind has adapted as we grow older, but at the end of the day, we are mostly similar, almost as if all of human DNA was 99.9% the same. Who would have thought? To tie it all together, I would like to conclude this analysis with Twice being closer to Batman than we expected. From the 2022 Batman, after Bruce concludes his character arc within the film, he states, "Our scars can destroy us, even after the physical wounds have healed, but if we survive them, they can transform us." For Twice, his forehead scar was permanent, but inside, it healed and evolved. Twice showed us that heroes and villains are alike. We can help one another, but we have to be willing to accept the similarities. Sincerely, Will.